welcome back to Reading Resolutions. Today I'm going to be doing some book reviews. Now, since the year began, I have already completely read 35 books. This is excessive for me. I have found myself with a lot of extra free time, so I've been going through books quite quicker than I normally would on even a good reading year. I'm actually surprised how many books I've gone through. My shelves are actually growing by the minute. So yeah, right now these book reviews will be very infrequent. They'll be just based once I have a group of books that I can actually talk about. And then after that we'll start doing monthly wrap-ups, but right now if I did a monthly wrap-up I'd be doing about 20 books a month, and that just seems a bit excessive right now. So we're going to just jump right into those books right now. First book up is Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. This book is about a zombie named R, and when R ate the brains of a young man named Perry, he forms an attachment to Perry's girlfriend Julie, and then it's their continuations on their story from there. I loved this book. I cannot rave about this enough, and I hate zombies. I hate zombies. I cannot stand them. So you're probably wondering why I read a book about zombies. I saw this movie and I loved it. I was shocked. It was a whim. I went with some friends. I couldn't believe it. When I saw I could get the book for like $2-3, I grabbed it. I did not expect a lot, but because I loved the movie so much, I had to read the book. I had to see the difference. And I have to say, I love this book amazingly well. The movie kept the right feel of the book. I don't think we lost too much with it. There is some stuff that there were obviously problems, there were changes. I mean, it happens. But the book is amazing. I cannot say enough about this. What I love about this is R knows what items are. He knows what newspapers are, but he forgot how to read. Marcus, whoever you want to call him, Marcus is obsessed with porno. I mean, there's so much in this book, so much that you see from R's perspective. The bonies are more than just skeletons. They're like the ringleaders. So there's a lot more humanity within the zombies, and keep in mind 90% of this book is all done in R's brain. You see the changes, and one thing I will say is Perry is more predominant in this book and less of a douchebag than in the movies. So if you love the movie, please read this book. I cannot recommend this enough. I gave this a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I was shocked how well I enjoyed this. I cannot rave about this enough. And the next book I'm going to review is Incarnation by Emma Cornwall. I would like to know who this author really is. This is a pen name. I really want to learn the real identity of this author so I can read their other works, even if they have nothing else to do with what is in this book. I just love the writing style. I enjoyed the story. I really want to see who this author really is and find out what other works they've done. In this book you meet Lucy Weston. Lucy is a newly formed vampire, and when she returns back to her family home, not realizing, well, she has realized what she's become, but she's still adjusting to it. She finds a manuscript of Bram Stoker's Dracula and realizes that the main character is her. And so she goes out and seeks out Bram Stoker to find out why this has happened to her and what he knows about the world she has now become a part of. I love this book so much. I found it a little rough around the edges, but it wasn't anything I couldn't overcome. There is steampunk in here. There are vampires. There are werewolves. There's paranormal. There's mystery. There's so many elements in this book, and it's just so fun. And it kind of leaves it open for more to happen. So if they did continue on with more stories, whether it be from side characters or what, it kind of leaves that open. But at the same time, there's a nice resolution to this story that if this just becomes a one-off, I am perfectly happy with it. But I cannot get over how amazing this was. And it was literally an impulse buy. I saw it. I love steampunk. I love vampires. I had to get this. And it was more of a cover porn. I enjoyed the cover. I clicked in. I saw the description, and it was boom, done. Done. And I cannot regret getting this, ever. Next up is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Now, Cinder is a fairy tale retelling of Cinderella. But it's a very loose retelling of the story. And we have the evil stepsisters, we have the prince, we have the ball. But other than that, it's pretty much where the consistency ends and the main story begins. Cinder, we find out, is a cyborg who is basically very mechanically well known. She's hiding the fact that she's a cyborg. So she's like the #1 mechanic in the realm, so to speak. And the prince approaches her about fixing a robot that contains vital information for the continuation of the kingdom. During this process, there is a cyborg hunt type of thing, and the stepmother volunteers Cinder to become part of this. And needless to say, they find out she's not necessarily a cyborg. She's a lunar who is pretty much, she was saved, and she's in hiding. Not just because she's a cyborg, but because she's a lunar. And we continue on with that, and we learn her tales and everything throughout that format. I liked this book. I have to say, this was a quick read. I read this and another book in one night. So I was actually really shocked. I am engrossed in this. I have to pick up Scarlet, but I'm definitely going to get hardback. I want to keep this because this is clearly on its way to being my favorite series, or a favorite series. Marissa Meyer has created this world, this futuristic world, this out of nowhere world. There's many elements of modern day Earth, there's many elements of the fairy tale world, and there's sci-fi, and it's there. It's all there, and it's amazing. And I cannot even begin to explain everything to you that happens in this, because there's so much. And I loved every minute of it. I was fully engrossed. And like I said, I can't wait to get Scarlet and Cress. I can't wait to meet, Red Riding Hood and Rapunzel and see where this goes. This story sounds absolutely amazing, and I really cannot wait to continue on with this. The next book I'm going to review is A Hopeless Romantic by Harriet Evans. This was another impulse buy that I bought back in January, and I have to say I'm quite disappointed with this book. The main premise of this book is we meet Laura Foster, who is this hopeless romantic. She has every romance novel. She watches, Pretty in Pink and all those romantic movies, and she wants her world to be like that. She wants to fall in love at first sight. She wants to have the romance and the splendor and everything involved with it. The writing style was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. The one thing I had a problem with is, see all this? All this here, I could have done without. Basically, we meet her as she is having an affair with another man. Already not liking the main character. Then she gets dumped because she realizes he's not going to leave his other woman. The other woman's now pregnant. She's lost her friend. She's lost her job. Honestly, I didn't need all that background. It did not need all that background. Then she goes on vacation with her parents and goes to this manor that's doubling as a museum. And it's a beautiful castle, and there's a duke that lives there. And she meets some guy in some jeans and a plaid t-shirt and starts insulting him. And guess what? It's the duke. Oh no! Overall, and then from there, once we get to that, we get into their romance and their love story. And their cat and mouse game, as I call it. There was just so much. I'm sitting here going, I could have done without at least the first 16 chapters. I did not need the background to how the whole affair went and how she lost her friends and her job. I would have been fine with a chapter or two talking about her depression and how she lost her job and why she's on vacation. I would have been perfectly happy with a brief intro on why she's on vacation with her parents, why she's depressed, and then go into their romance. I would have been fine with that. The next part I have a problem with is how things rolled out. There was so much that got dragged on. There's no resolution for some items, and then there's items that get dragged on. And it becomes so unrealistic. Overall, the story was not there. I cannot keep going on and on and on about this because it's not there. And it kind of made me mad because I'm sitting here going, I really, 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 really wanted to enjoy this story. The next last book we're going to talk about is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Now, this book is about a World War II German girl who, while deciding how to learn to read, ends up stealing some books. And I don't understand her obsession with stealing the books, but she's been stealing books. Now, it's mostly about the relationships she forms through her life, and a lot of them do center around these books that she's stolen. At one point, her foster family is hiding a Jewish gentleman, and there's several instances with the books with that. In fact, in the middle of the book, they start creating a book between the Jewish gentleman and herself, and it's a way to tell stories and stuff like that. Overall, I enjoyed the story. It was an enjoyable story, but first I had to empty my mind of everything everyone had said about how this changed their lives, about how it was such a great story, about how much you could pick up from the story. I didn't catch that in this. One thing I did enjoy is that the entire story is told from the perspective of death. I've not read many books that are told by death or feature death, so I felt that the narration done by the character of the death, really made this stand out. Does it show all the horrors? No, it does not. It does not show everything in this book. It does not represent it. This is purely fiction, and honestly, the horrors that happened in World War II don't really belong in the story. I don't think so. Overall, again, it's an enjoyable story. I think I gave it 3. It's more like 3.5 stars on Goodreads, just because I did enjoy it, but I won't say this has changed my life or anything, or anything like that. It's a good story. Yeah. And the last book I'm going to be talking about is The United Circus by Erin Morgenstein. I read this book because I thought it was going to be a nice, quick, fun read, and then I discovered quite quickly that this book has caused me to pause and to think about what I was reading. You think you're reading a book about these two illusionists, Celia and Marco, when in reality you're learning about the circus and the battle. There's so many different elements. The good versus evil, the practical versus imaginary, the chaos versus the control. There's so much in this book that once I started getting into it, all of a sudden everything came together. The first 100 to 150 pages, I'm reading this, and I really thought I was going to put it down. I read it on sheer willpower. For the first 150 pages, I couldn't understand what was going on. There was time skipping, there was area skipping, there was character skipping. Every chapter was something different, and it was creating a lot of confusion for me. I actually got to the point where I was putting a piece of scrap paper down to try and figure out where I was and what was going on. And then all of a sudden, everything started coming together, and we got a linear story near the end. And I was actually shocked how much I enjoy this. And I think I'm going to go, I want to revisit this in about 6 months to a year and reread this, because I want to see what else I take out of this book. I love this story. I love the elements to it. I just wanted to show you like this, where it's talking about, oops, you can't read that very well, but it's talking about the lovers, and it's just like a little prologue to what's about to happen in that section of the book. And there was actually a quote, if I could find it real quick. Now, before I finish talking about this book, I actually want to share a quote with you that it comes near the end of the story, and I felt that it represented almost the whole book as a whole. And it's simply, well, that's a complicated matter. The heart of the tale and the ideas behind it are simple. Time has altered and condensed their nuances, made them more than a story, greater than the sums of their parts. But that requires time. The truest tales require time and familiarity to become what they are. I felt that this, that quote represented this story almost to its fullest. So I felt that that one quote summarized this entire book almost quite beautifully and eloquently. And I have to say that's probably one of my favorite quotes out of books so far, just because it almost tells a story in itself in just a few sentences. So that's it. Those are my reviews for these books. As I said, near the end, once I start getting on a more regular schedule with reading, I will be doing more of wrap-up videos than these just random reviews. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the random reviews and just pick a few of the books that I'm going through the month. Okay? Enjoy. See you guys next time. Bye!